My name is Conrad Tracy. I am the Clubhouse Manager of Hub Southern Cross. Thank you all for coming. It's so great to see so many people here today. I'm just going to run through a few housekeeping things, doing a quick acknowledgement, and then intro what is going to be an amazing speaker today. So, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, who are the traditional custodians of this land. I would also like to pay respect to the elders, both past and present, and the Kulin Nation, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians. Now, toilets, I guess, is the most important one. If you would like to go to the toilet at any stage, you need to go down to reception at level 2, and they'll direct you through to the bathrooms. In case of any emergency, I hope there's not one, there definitely won't be one. Please follow the lighted signs, or the lit signs, down the stairways to the street. Hello. Hi. Sorry. Welcome. If you have any social media, if you could give us a follow or a like, that would be great, Hub Australia, and I'll get started. So, Sue was born in Adelaide and moved to Melbourne in 1994. She joined LinkedIn on the 21st of December 2003 and is one of the first 80,000 people in the world on the platform. She has been consulting on the topic of LinkedIn since 2008 and launched her first 3 80,000 word books in 2016. She has a background in banking, training, recruitment, HR, marketing, employment, websites, and social media. And her first website, social media, first website, newcomersnetwork.com, went online in 2001. She created CampbellNetwork.com in 2012 and 120 Ways Publishing in 2015. It's amazing. Sue is currently an independent LinkedIn specialist providing consulting and training on the topics of LinkedIn, social media and marketing, and she provides this to individual clients and organisations worldwide. She also provides a variety of LinkedIn and career advice services for local and international companies, teaches at 2 educational facilities, and provides business consulting services to private clients internationally. Sue offers personalised service for individuals and groups who are excited to work with people that are smart, savvy, and know that with her professional assistance, they'll be able to learn new skills, take action, and achieve results. Sue will be around after for some time if you've got any questions. This is her 4th time.
Oh, the Small Business Festival.
Yeah, speaking at the Small Business Festival. So today she is here to share her knowledge of LinkedIn for business consultants and freelancers. Please welcome Sue Hanson.
Really great to see you all, and well done for getting here on time. That's always an achievement in Melbourne, which is lovely. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners, the Wurundjeri people, and the Kulin Nation. Come in, take a seat.
Just looking at the boss one.
We just started the show now. and also, thank you Conrad and Hub Australia for hosting us here. The venue is provided free of charge, which is really fantastic. And this is one of 2 events that I'm running at this year's Small Business Festival. The other one I'm doing is on hyperlocal marketing, which is a webinar that's coming up. I've downloaded the podcast from the co-working, what's it called, the iTunes podcast, and I'm going to be listening to that, so thank you for sharing that with me. I've got a few things in my diary this year. Normally I completely book myself out for the Small Business Festival and get nothing else done, so I've been a bit more selective this year as to what events I attend, but you know, it's a fantastic initiative of the Victorian Government. Because it's a government associated event, there will be a feedback form that you need to fill out. Now technically you should all do that before you leave the building, but you know, I looked at that form last night and you can't sort of do it in 2 seconds. So I have a bit.ly/Victoria and LinkedIn is the LinkedIn. Come in.
I was looking for the lights.
Oh.
It's on the panel where she stood there.
There's a panel here. Yes, now I also got a list of questions that people would like me to address in this seminar, and anybody who's seen me live will know that I always try and make every session relevant to the people in the audience. So what I'd like to do first of all is just run through a few things, and I would have printed out a handout for you, but I never know how many people are going to turn up, and I don't like wasting paper. And the benefit of the notes is clicking on the links. So for everybody who's registered for this event, I will be sending you out a handout with all of the links on it so that you can do this. Some of these things you can follow along on your phone, but the phone is a different experience to the laptop. I'm also aware that it's only a 1 hour seminar, so I can't show you everything I'd love to show you. So if I go too fast anywhere, please let me know, but I want to give you maximum value for the time you've allocated today. I'm a learning junkie, and I really hate it when you go to a seminar and say, that's in my book, and that's in my course, and that's in somewhere else. You will actually get things you can take home today, so hopefully that will be useful to you. I've also brought along a few copies of my LinkedIn book. They're normally $40 each. They're going to be available today for $30 each if you'd like to purchase one. The online version, digital version, is $10 on the 120ways.com website. But now let's move into LinkedIn. And one of the first things on the notes is a link to an article on how to choose your next job or career. So some of you, I presume, are either business consultants or freelancers, and some of you are still not quite sure about which aspect of business consulting or freelancing you would like to do. So a few years ago, for 3 years, I read books on careers, what do you want to do with your life, find your purpose, what colour's your parachute, all of these books. And I did all these online personality assessments saying you should try this and you should try that. And unfortunately, none of them worked for me. I still didn't end up with an answer. But what I did work out was what my values were. And my fourth book, which is coming out in October, is called Gigsters. And I've actually realised that I've been a Gigster for many years now, and I'll be sharing lots of tips and suggestions for you if you would like to have the Gigster lifestyle in the future. But anyway, that article, How to Choose Your Next Job or Career, will be in the links. That's really important because if you want to do something with LinkedIn, you've got to know what you're trying to achieve, because otherwise where do you start with the content that's going to be most relevant for the people who are either going to find your LinkedIn profile or are actually going to interact and do it with you. And I'm pretty much a one-woman man, and Ray's my friendly assistant at the back here who helps me out at different times, but for most of the time, it's just me. So I don't have time to sit and answer 64 emails to get one lead to get a client. So all of my content is designed in such a way that if people don't want to pay, that's perfectly fine. Use all the free stuff. But if you want something extra, then you pay. So, my content is designed in that way. So I eliminate a lot. I help people self-select whether or not they'd like to work with me. And if they don't, that's perfectly fine. They can use heaps of free stuff. And I'm always adding more stuff to my SueOlsen.com website. The next article is on how to write a search engine optimized article on LinkedIn, and I'll be giving you an example of that. And also what to do before you speak to a website designer, because I teach how to create a simple WordPress website at the CAE, the Centre for Adult Education, and it's amazing how many people have been ripped off with their websites. And if you're a business consultant or freelancer, you can't just rely on LinkedIn, although it's a fantastic place to start. You ultimately have to have your own website as well. So I've added links to an article on what to do before you speak to the web designer and how much you should pay for a website and what should be included in the website design proposal. So hopefully they're of benefit to you. I've also linked to 3 articles on the benefits of LinkedIn. But rather than tell you what I think the benefits of LinkedIn, would any of you like to share a benefit that you've received from LinkedIn? Must have had something. Yes, exposure. Exposure? So for your name or for your brand?
For both.
Both.
Yeah.
And what's happened as a result of that?
New opportunities, requests to come and work.
Great. Excellent. Yeah. Anyone else? Come on, you're great.
I think it can help build credibility. So
Yes.
it's connecting with specific thought leaders in specific areas
Yes.
in your industry. If you connect with them, somehow gives you more credibility. The next thing you connect.
It does. And also what it does is it tells the LinkedIn algorithm that this is what you're interested in, and if those people endorse you for a skill that you're good at, and they're good at that skill as well, that definitely ups the ante as well. So yeah, definitely a great idea. Okay.
Leads.
Leads. Yeah. So how have you got your leads from LinkedIn?
Through articles that I've shared, which have sort of gelled with other people who are powerful people in my services.
Great. And are they articles you've written or you've curated
Both.
from somewhere else? Great.
Yes.
Excellent. So I'll be talking about both content involvement, content curation, and content production a little bit later as well. Okay, anything else anyone wants to share? I recently did a presentation to the Monash Business School alumni, and it was fascinating because I said, if any of you got offers from LinkedIn, and then every single person in the room put up their hand. So I said, well done. Monash has obviously taught them something about having a LinkedIn profile, which is super exciting. I also do a lot of work with schools, and I actually believe that every student before they leave their secondary school should have completed their LinkedIn profile, and should be starting to build their network, which is a really important thing. There's no such thing as job security or business security, but a network can keep you running. So definitely LinkedIn is good for that. By the way, I'm not paid by LinkedIn, I'm not endorsed by LinkedIn, completely independent of LinkedIn. So I'm not here to sell you LinkedIn products today. And believe it or not, I'm still on a free LinkedIn account. So there's no requirement that you subscribe to anything from today. So before I start working with any of my clients, the first thing I do is I collect some statistics so we can prove that there's been some sort of improvement as a result of working with me. And the first one that you would want to know about is how many connections you've got. So if you click on my network, you can see that I've got 14,382 connections. So I write that number down because it's a real-time statistic only. So when you get your notes, you can write down that number and then reflect again in 3 months' time and see whether that number of connections has increased. Also, from your own profile, if you scroll down and you're reasonably active, as in the guy at the back who's written articles, you'll see that you've got a certain number of followers. Now, if you're known as a thought leader, you will have more followers than connections. So they're the people who said, yes, we still want to hear from Sue, even though Sue said, no, I don't want to connect with you, or they didn't even ask to connect with me. So if your number of followers is increasing more than your number of connections, that's actually a good thing. It also means that your number of connections is limited to about 30,000, but you can have an unlimited number of followers. So if you really want to be a thought leader, go for broke and with as many followers as you can. The next one is the number of views you've had in the last 90 days. I've had 1,250. Can anyone beat that? No? Oh, come on. I was hoping somebody would. And look, there was a colleague of mine in Adelaide, and he used to get 3,000 views per 90 days, but he didn't get any work. So just getting views is not necessarily the definitive answer of whether you're going to get gigs, but definitely if it's over 100, you've got a much better chance than if it's under 100. So definitely write this number to start with, update your profile after today, and see if it changes. And this is also where I like to do my favourite activity on LinkedIn, which is what I call reverse stalking. So we'll just see if anybody in the rooms happened to look at me today. Is Mike here? No? Oh well, three anonymous people, could be somebody there. So I love looking at who's been looking at my LinkedIn profile, because that tells me whether it's working. And if it's somebody who's been at an event or it's one of my clients, I get super excited because I know that they're doing their homework, they're looking at my profile, they're pitching ideas, etc., etc. So I get super excited if I see somebody stalking me on a regular basis, which is, contrary to popular belief. I get excited by that. The next one is the number. The next one is the number of times you have appeared in search results in the last 7 days. And again, this number should be more than 50. There we go. Oh, mine's dropped to 0. Well, that's wrong. I don't know what's happened there. It was 250 something yesterday. By the way, LinkedIn's a bit temperamental. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There you go. 269 appearances in the last 7 days. And again, you can see some of the organisations who've looked at you. It's really interesting at Melbourne Airport's there, because I'll be giving you an example later. I spoke out there to a group, and one of the lady who organised me to come and speak to the staff at Melbourne Airport, she put her very first post on LinkedIn last week, and it's had over 9,677 views in 6 days. Using some of the techniques I suggested that she do. So even if you've never posted on LinkedIn before, you too can achieve 9,000 views if you adopt a few of the techniques from today. Another one that you may be interested in is whether you're an all-star profile or not. And if you are, you will say in that grey box there that you are an all-star profile. And it basically just means that you've filled out most of the boxes in LinkedIn. Because at the end of the day, it's just a dumb, stupid database, and a dumb, stupid database is likely when most of the boxes are filled in. So if you fill it in, you've got a pretty good chance of getting an all-star profile. It doesn't mean you're going to get gigs though, it just means you've filled in the boxes. The words that are in those boxes are what's going to count. You also, in theory, will have some skills that you've had votes for. And believe it or not, I had 4,500 votes for my skills, and then LinkedIn upgraded the platform and I lost all my votes. So when you see that I've only got 16 votes on LinkedIn, that's actually not true. I had, hundreds of them. But the platform updated and I contacted them and I said, what's happened? And they said it's a known issue. So, I started from scratch again. But anyway, you can have up to 50 skills in there, but your top 3 are obviously the most important. So whatever you want to be known for, you need to make sure that those top 3 are in there. And if you want to specialise in an area, I'd suggest about 20. But because I run networks and do lots of other things, I've got votes for all these other things as well. And I can even go in and shuffle the order using the little hamburger on the side here, so I can shuffle the order around, as I so choose. So it was just a little feature that LinkedIn brought out a few years ago. A lot of people complained about it because, people were voting and they didn't really know whether the person had the skill or not, but it's stuck because it's easy. The next thing is recommendations, and I would suggest that you want a similar number both given and received here. One person's LinkedIn profile I looked at had 140 something that they'd received and 0 that they'd given. What does that tell you about that person? It's not a good look. So please try and make sure the number of recommendations you've both given and received is fairly similar, and at least 6 of each. You can also be really strategic. So this guy, he's hot off the trot. I ran this event on that day, and later that day he wrote me a recommendation because he knows that, thousands of people are looking at my LinkedIn profile, so he knows he's going to get #1 spot whenever somebody looks at my profile, until the next person writes a recommendation. So I thought, it was pretty quick to do it. I thought, yeah, good tactic there. So be strategic, think about your favourite clients, write them recommendations. Then when somebody looks at their profile, they'll see your details. However, you do need to remember that what you write in a recommendation can be used in a court of law. So please do not fudge the truth, say something that you're not prepared to say in court, because it is something written. And also, if you work for an organisation, there may be a policy where they say, look, I'm not allowed to write recommendations. So keep that in mind. The next thing that I do before I start fiddling around with somebody's profile is I click on the More box and I choose Save to PDF. When I save it to PDF, I choose today's date back to front, 2018, 08. I put dashes in my file names because I'm used to doing websites, and dashes help Google identify all the words in a file name. And then I also put the word LinkedIn in there so that I can find it if I'm doing a search, and I save it on my computer. And that way I know that on the 8th of August, this is what my LinkedIn profile looked like. So before you make lots of changes and after you make lots of changes, I really encourage you to save to PDF. I also encourage you to use this technique. If you're out stalking and you see another person's profile that you really like the look of, again, save it to PDF, print it out, borrow a few ideas that you might be able to incorporate on your LinkedIn profile. That can be really helpful. The next thing that I encourage my clients to do is go into settings and privacy and download their data. So obviously after the Cambridge Analytica debacle, Facebook allowed you to download your data. Well, LinkedIn's enabled you to do that for a lot longer. And you can click on the works, and you can request an archive, and you can enter your password, and in a few days' time you get an email from LinkedIn, you click on the link and then download the files. One of those files you can open in Excel, and it's a list of all of your connections. First name, last name, email address, current job title, current company, and date you connected. Now please do not add those people to your email mailing list without their permission, because that's spamming. If you want to add it to your customer relationship management and use it as a prospecting list, or remind yourself to start catching up with a few people, that's perfectly fine. But also, in the unlikely event that LinkedIn goes poof, or they close your account because you've been naughty, you've at least got a record of the connections that you had up until that date. So if you do this, say every 3 months, you've then got a backup of your connections, as well as the rest of the information that you've used on LinkedIn. valuable settings to change on LinkedIn. Now, I realise some of the people in the room already know something about LinkedIn, so apologies if you already know this stuff, but these are the things that I absolutely insist that everybody do. So you'll see in the URL bar at the top, my LinkedIn is at Sue Elson. It's like having the .com version of a LinkedIn URL. If you have not changed your public profile URL from the one that was automatically given to you by LinkedIn, you are not optimised in Google search results. So if somebody Googles your name, it will say people with your name are on LinkedIn. It won't go directly to your LinkedIn profile because it's not optimised for your name. So to change it, you can go in here to edit public profile and URL, and you just click on the pen and change it to your name if it's available. If it's not available, try putting your first name dash last name, because the dash is something fairly new that's come in. If that's not available, you can put your pre-nominals, Dr, Ms, whatever, or your post-nominals, your educational qualifications or professional memberships, or a number or something similar to your Twitter handle, you know, whatever. But you really do need to change your URL to your own name. Whilst you're here, if something terrible happens in your enterprise and you need to go incognito immediately, please do not delete your LinkedIn profile. Even if you have, you know, something really, really awful happen, please just turn your public profile visibility to off, and nobody will be able to see it. So if something happens, don't delete it, just turn it off. This was really useful for a client of mine who is a psychologist and is not even on the electoral roll because she used to work at Centrelink, so she didn't want people tracking her down. So, you know, she still needs to have a LinkedIn profile to do in the network, and she can have her profile completely invisible as well. Further down here, you can also tick all the boxes to show what you want to be visible and leave your machine translations on as well. Now, when you look at someone's LinkedIn profile, what do you normally look at first? Sorry? The picture! Correct, congratulations! Would you believe that up to 60% of the time spent looking at a LinkedIn profile will be spent looking at the photograph? So if you need an updated one, you can see Chris Sprott, who's got the LinkedIn profile booth next door to the RACV Club office works in Bourke Street. This photo took me a week to prepare, all women will know what that means. And the professional photographer took 70 shots before he got that one. And for some stupid reason, I decided to go to the hairdresser that day when I shouldn't have, because he does my hair all different to how I ever have it. But anyway, that's the photo that I've got. I would not recommend a photo beyond 3 years old. I encourage you to have your eyes on the 1/3 line, because you want the eyes to be the focus. You also need to wear a high neck garment. And I'm not saying that because I'm a prude, I'm saying it because it frames your face. What people are supposed to be looking at is your eyes, not your neck. So one of my clients was a lovely Irishman who had a hairy chest and no tie. So we had to Photoshop that out because, you know, normally you say to a woman, we don't want to see your breasts, but we didn't want to see his hairy chest either on LinkedIn. So, but, you know, your photo just has to match your purpose. So another one of my clients, she's an artist, she's wearing sunglasses, her hair's across her face and you can't see it, but she's an artist, so that's okay. So I'm not saying you have to use a sterile looking photo like mine, but, you know, make sure people can see your eyes, that's what I do. And smiling with your teeth showing helps too, because everybody looks a lot friendlier when they're smiling with their teeth showing. Okay, next one is the headline. Now, all the LinkedIn trainers will tell you something different about what to do with the headline. So I'll give you my version, you choose whatever you want to do. First of all, when I was suit everything, guess how many gigs I got? 0. Because if Sue can do this and Sue can do that, we can't remember what Sue does. So I wasn't getting any gigs. So I decided out of all the things that I can do, which can I provide the most value in? And I figured it was LinkedIn. So I decided I would call myself an independent LinkedIn specialist. So So if you Google on your phone LinkedIn specialist, even if you're in Sydney, I'm the person who comes up in Google search results. And I did that earlier. And you'll see here that my LinkedIn profile for LinkedIn specialist Google query comes up first and my website comes up second. So if you want to test it, by all means, check on your own computers. But I've been able to search engine optimise my LinkedIn profile for exactly what I want to be known for. And I didn't even put the word independent in it. But I wanted to put the word independent so people knew I wasn't part of LinkedIn. So in 3 words, I've described, my main value to people. What I've also done is I've included other words to be found on. So careers and business, and because these are the words in my book. And my next book's called Gigsters, so I put that in. And you may also notice that there's a lot of words in there, more than what you can normally update on a laptop. And that's because somebody who came to one of my sessions had extra words in there. And I figured, well, how did he do it? When I can't do it. And then I worked it out. He updated it on his mobile device. So if you update it on your mobile device, you won't just get 120 characters, you get about 200 characters. Some people like to put pipes in, those lines with a space either side. I don't, because it takes up 3 characters when I could use that for another keyword. And also it takes the eye up, which makes it harder for the eye to keep reading along. So I just use commas. But believe you me, I would take out all the commas as well if I could get another word in that was important for me to be found in Google search results. So as an example, at that workshop that other coach guy went to, there was a lady there who's a project manager, and she wasn't getting any calls from any recruiters. So I said to her, have you got agile skills, PMBOK, any of that kind of stuff? She said yes. The very next day, she put that in her headline, and she's getting 3 to 5 calls a day from recruiters, just by putting her technical competencies in her headline. So please use up as many of the keywords you want to be found for in your headline. It's the most important feature on your LinkedIn profile. If you then add those keywords to other sections, it will also optimize it. So if you see the word LinkedIn or trainer throughout my profile, you'll see where I'm optimizing it as well. You also need to update the summary. Now, a lot of people nowadays are click resistant. They don't want to click on something to find out information. So if you've heard about me somehow or another, found me online, the first thing I want you to do is either email or call me. So why wouldn't I put that at the beginning of my summary so people don't have to click to see contact info, even though it's there, they can see it immediately. And the beauty of this is, on an Android device, they will be clickable links. So even though it's plain text, on an Android phone or tablet, people will be able to go straight through to it. So that's why I put it in there as well. I also make sure that the first 2 lines, because that's what's going to show on a mobile device, start helping people with information so that they can make an assessment. Because a lot of people won't scroll past that. So if that's all they're going to see, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, whatever services you're offering, that information is there. And I've also got some bling, so that's a few videos and an image, because I don't want to be seen as just digitally competent, no, digitally literate, I want to be seen as digitally competent, right? So not just I can fill in boxes, but no, I can do the extra bells and whistles and put the videos in and do the extra things to demonstrate my level of competency. So definitely do that. Also, if you click on this, you'll see I've put things in short dot points, because again, for people on a phone, it's much easier to read dot points than it is a long narrative. And you'll probably recognise a lot of that information from what Conrad said about me, because he looked at my profile and he got a bio off of my LinkedIn profile. So, when you're doing a lot of speaking, it's handy to have a brief bio on there as well. You'll also notice at the end, I've included something interesting, which is Sue enjoys 5 rhythms dancing. Ready to dance? Nice. What a shame. Walking and cycling. So people get a sense of who I am as a person, rather than just this sterile, content about, what I offer professionally. And if you look it up, you'll probably think I'm nuts. I look like a crazy mad woman, Catherine Kim, at a rock concert on drugs in the mosh pit. That's how bad I look when I dance, but I love it. So there you go. All right, next thing is your email addresses. Now, some of you would have come from corporate into your business consulting and freelance role. And you would have had an email address at that previous organisation. I'm going to suggest that you never, ever, ever remove it from your LinkedIn profile. Because people who have you in their address book with that email address can still connect with you on LinkedIn if you leave it on your account. So please do not remove your old email addresses, just change the primary one to the one that's most relevant for your purpose now. So obviously the most relevant one is mysueelson@sueelson.com. If you're going to put in phone numbers, if you are concerned about privacy, please do not add your phone number anywhere. And if you do, as I have done, do not sync it with the platform. Because if you sync it, it will go through your entire contacts and try and invite all of those people to connect with you on LinkedIn, including great Auntie Dora, ex-boyfriends and girlfriends, etc., etc., which is not appropriate. Okay? So please, if you do add your phone number in, make sure you don't sync it at some later point, SYNC. I've got a link in the notes on how to unsync it. Also, what I suggest to people is to turn off autoplay videos unless you've got mega data allowance on your phone, because you don't want to have that causing a problem. If we go into the privacy section, there's this one on who can see your email address. We're business consultants, freelancers, we want people to contact us. So please change it to everyone on LinkedIn because you want people to reach out to you. So why would you leave it as only first degree connections? That's going to be important. Also, who can see your connections? So say for instance you're in a really specific niche and you're connected to a lot of people in that niche. You don't necessarily want them picking off your clients. So if that's the case, you could change this to only you. And then they would only see who you're connected to if they are also connected to that person. But for me, I don't care. It's a sharing world, sharing's caring. I'm often giving off things to other people. I don't worry about it, so I've chosen your connections. But this next one is really important that you change to no. Viewers of this profile also viewed. So if you look at me on your mobile device and you scroll to the end, and I have this turned on to yes, you'll see all the other LinkedIn specialists underneath my name, and then you'll click and go over to them, and I've lost the gig. Okay? So you need to change this one to no. The only time you turn it on is late at night when you want to do a little bit of espionage and find out who your competitors are, and then you turn it off again. Okay? So make sure you change viewers of this profile also view to no. Your visibility off of LinkedIn, when this is consultants, you want everybody to be able to see us, whether they're signed in or signed out, so yes, definitely turn that one to yes. And also down here, profile viewing. So you want to stalk your competitor, okay? And you don't want them to know that you've looked at their LinkedIn profile. What you can do is you can turn yourself to anonymous and then go look at their profile and then come back and turn yourself back on. So, think about that as an option if you're doing espionage or you're meeting with a client tomorrow, you want to check out their profile, or you don't want them to know that you've done that. So I only turn that on an as needs basis. I need to leave it turned on all the time, otherwise I won't see the last 5 people who looked at me. If you pay for premium LinkedIn, you'll be able to see the last 90 days worth of people who've looked at your profile. So there was one lady I know who offered a styling service, and she made a point of every single person who looked at her profile, she reached out to them and said, hi, notice you stopped on my LinkedIn profile, anything I can help you with, and she got leads out of that. Also remember that if you are visible when you look at somebody else's LinkedIn profile, there's a 30% chance they'll then look back at you. So it's actually better than cold calling. So if you're on the train, just look at a few people's profiles, they might look back at you. You never know, that may need to work as well. Sharing profile edits, I have this turned off to no, because I change my content all the time. Everything on LinkedIn is only ever a version number, so I don't let people know when I'm making changes. And alright, so we'll go across to the contact information. There's lots of other settings in there. The other one that you might want to look at if you feel like you're being inundated with emails from LinkedIn is how often you are communicating with. So you can change your communication settings. So I don't get notifications every time a message comes in anymore, because I get too many messages. It means I don't get too many emails, and it's too up. We also set up a rule on your email inbox that everything that comes from linkedin.com goes straight into that folder and you can check when you're ready, so that you can stop your emails from getting sort of a bit overwhelming on LinkedIn. Okay, so contact info. You have the chance on the contact info section to add in 3 websites. So why wouldn't you link to your own website, or your LinkedIn company page, or your Facebook page, or your Twitter account, or Snapchat, or whatever it is that you've got? And when you add the websites, I want to encourage you, rather than just to say that's my personal website, if you say other, you then have 30 characters to describe your website. So again, you can optimize that for your name and your business name. So definitely add in 3 websites. If you're a psychologist and you've got a profile on the Australian Psychological Society website, you could link to your profile on the APS website. That would be really, really valuable for people who are checking you out. So definitely add in your websites. Please copy and paste the URLs, don't type them, because you'd be surprised how often you accidentally press one thing and it doesn't work. So please copy paste the URLs and put the 3 in there. Phone number, email address, I've got my Twitter handles, instant messaging programs, but I haven't included my date of birth because that's part of my identity. I'm an ex-banker, so I don't put my date of birth I'm using unless I absolutely have to.
So sorry, where did you access the contact info?
Yep, from your profile on the front page. Just here, see contact info. Yep. Okay. Now, next thing, creating a company page. So you might think, look, I'm a person of one, why would I bother having a LinkedIn company page? Well, that's because you can then have a logo next to your current job, which looks much more professional than a grey box. So I definitely encourage you to consider having a LinkedIn company profile. And if you want to create one, you have to go to the work menu and choose create a company page. No, you have to be a person first. If you're part of a larger enterprise, I usually always wish to have 3 administrators too, so if somebody else is not available, they can update the company page. So I've got a number of company pages because I've got these different enterprises. So they're all on my me menu and I can go in there and provide updates. In the notes that I'm going to send you, there's a specific link on how to maximize your company profile on LinkedIn, as well as 20 ways your employees can support your business on LinkedIn as well. And you might also want to make sure you've got a social media policy as well. Okay, experience. You'll notice with mine, and I'll go to my CAE job because that's a little bit more normal than some of the other ones. Again, I put lots of keywords in my job title, and I describe the CAE, then I talk about the tasks I do there, and then the achievements, and then the contact details, so that people can click through and see that information. So I recommend you use that format for all of your past jobs as a way of presenting information. If you want to go for more leadership roles, focus more on the achievements, but again, think about keywords, because the more often those keywords are in there, and the easier it is to read, the better. Another article I've included was whether you want to be seen as a guru or a dinosaur. So currently, once you hit 35, you become a senior citizen. So at 53, I think I'm nearly ready for the grave. But anyway, please do not mention years of experience. Don't ever use years of experience ever again in your life. Just explain what you do, branding, whatever, and go on for that. Don't talk about years of experience. Your education. I did a Bachelor of Business in Administrative Management, which is like a baby MBA, and I did all these subjects. Now, most LinkedIn profiles you look at will not have an academic transcript. What an amazing place to put all your keywords in. These were my subjects, but if I had topics that were in those subjects that I wanted to optimise my LinkedIn profile for, obviously I finished this in 2000 before LinkedIn started, otherwise I would have put LinkedIn in there. But yeah, make sure you dig up your transcripts and put those in. It also makes it more believable that you've done those subjects if you write them all up in there as well. Some people say, Sue, there's too much information on your LinkedIn profile. I say, I don't care. I come up with search results, I get the clients I want, we're all done. Okay? Volunteer experience, really important if you've done some voluntary work, particularly with associations related to your expertise. So I've done stuff with ARI, the RSPCA, the Church Across the Road, etc., etc. Also with parenting and scout camps and schools, etc., etc. So, put them all in. It shows that the nature of the person that you are. Some of my best experiences have come from volunteering. One of them was at the Jamboree in Sydney, and I spent 2 weeks taking kids out sailing on Sydney Harbour. Who can complain? This is a good job. Even if you don't get paid, it's a lot of fun. Endorsements, I already talked about, and recommendations. And then there's all these other sections that you can fill in. So if you're a professional member, you can put that in organisations as well as certifications. You can put it in 2 places. So please stalk me as often as you like for suggestions on how to write it up, honours and awards, publications, languages, projects, courses you've done, test scores. The only thing I'm missing is a patent. I've decided it's too much hassle to get a patent just to fill in one box. So I've skipped that one. But everything else is there. And I've also followed selected companies. So a client I was working with yesterday is a testing manager, or test manager, I'm not supposed to say testing, and she wants to work for the banks. So we followed all the banks so that she comes up in their search results. Because a lot of those large corporates use LinkedIn Recruiter, so they will, extract people who are already following that company. So if you've got target companies you'd like to work for, or favourite clients, follow them on LinkedIn. Really good to do that. There's also a link in these notes on how to showcase your professional membership on LinkedIn. So going back to the comment before about content, the first level of content is you just engage with the newsfeed. So you'll see lots of different posts in your newsfeed, and you can like, comment and share as you so choose. Now, I suggest that a like is worth 1 brownie point, a comment is worth 5 brownie points, and a share is worth 10 brownie points, because it's saying I'm really, really interested in this topic, because I'm prepared to share it, or I like it, or whatever. So that's the first step. Then you can get to the second step, which is what you were saying, is you get the content from somewhere else and you share it yourself, so you're just curating somebody else's amazing content. And the third one is creating content, where you either write a post and put it in as a post from this screen, or you write an article and then it's there permanently. So if you're doing a post, you can quite often have it go much more viral, but then it disappears and it's gone. Whereas an article can stay around for a long time. So this link, somewhere here, pre-prepared earlier, is the one that Maria sent out from Melbourne Airport last week. So this is the one that's had, 9,600 views in 6 days. So she started off with today. So that says, come on, look at it now, because it's today. With help of Sue Elson, she pinged me, so she typed @ and then Sue Elson, and that notified me that she'd included me at Melbourne Airport. She used hashtags, and she put in a picture. And what's so important about this picture? Well, she's in it, yeah. And what else?
It's all women.
Yeah, it's all women, it's all faces, Photographs on LinkedIn that have the face are going to be much more engaging. And also, like, how often do you see a photo like that? It's, very rare. The only improvement would have been if she had some text over the photo, because then people would have read the text on the image as well. But, that's obviously gone well. But not only did it have the 9,677 views, I had to ask her, because I said, this is such a great example, I want to use it. She's had 110 likes and 33 comments. and she's responded to all of those as well. So it's a really good example of a post that can go viral because it's got a number of different elements in it. The next one I want to show you is an article I wrote on tough love for the unemployed. So again, feel free to Google this when you go home. And my LinkedIn article is #1, page 1 of Google for tough love unemployed. And I've actually written 3, one for over 50s, one for under 30s, and one for 30s to 50s. So one of them hasn't come up on Google because it hasn't been indexed for some unknown reason. You can't guarantee these things, but that's one that has done well. However, at the beginning of this year, I decided to write for Quora.com, and I spent 3 days in front of my laptop answering questions, and then apparently I did it wrong, even though I'd seen other people do the same thing, and so they deleted all of my answers with no warning. So my 3 days' work just went out the window. So please, if you are publishing content, please keep a copy of whatever you published on your computer or on the cloud, because it could disappear forever without warning. I've also mentioned some tips in there on how to do well with that and how to search engine optimize it. I've also suggested ways that another article, which is how to get sales and results out of LinkedIn. So you can click on that one. And I'd also like you to grab your phones. And I'm going to grab Ray's phone. And we're going to do a little exercise. You need to turn on Bluetooth, first of all. Thank you, Ray. And on your phone, it says My Network down the bottom. So I want you to click on My Network. And then in the middle of the screen, it says Find Nearby. And the first person who comes up on my screen is going to win the book. I'm going to have to turn on Bluetooth for Ray's phone. Okay, so the first person, Kirsten Flavel. Where are you? Congratulations. All right, so what is now on the screen is a whole bunch of people. It's like a dating app, right?
Sorry, Sue,
Sorry, can you go back a second?
where are we?
I can find
The LinkedIn app,
Yeah.
My Network on the bottom, and then Find Nearby in the middle of the top of the screen. You have to turn on Bluetooth. Now, what it's doing is it's bringing up all the people who are in the room. Now, lots of you are already connected to me because I've only got chat boxes there. But if I scroll down and I see just a little head with a plus, I'm not connected to those people. So if you just keep pressing plus, and then when people get back to their phone later, they can decide whether they want to connect to you or not. Now, this is a really good technique that you're presenting to connect with everybody in the room. So we'll leave it open for a couple more minutes, waiting for people to come up.
Is it only on the phone, Sue?
Sorry?
Is it only on the phone?
Sorry.
So where would you use this?
So if you're speaking in an event and you want to connect with everybody in the room, you can invite people to do it. Yeah. And then just press plus while it's happening. Yeah. But you have to keep them on that screen because if they flick to something else on their phone, they're going to disappear off the radar. Right. Okay?
You have to ask everyone to go on to it.
Yep. Because it only works while people are there. So please keep yourself on that screen so that people can connect with you. Oh, and you can make your choice about whether you want to connect with them or not later. How far are we? What's the radius? I don't know exactly, but I've tried it on the train a few times, it never works. People have to be on that screen. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is if you just press in the search box, it should say scan QR code somewhere on your screen. So you press in the search box, all those little squares, and you'll see my code. So if you're at a networking event, I'll go to my code and I'll go up to you and you'll have the camera. Oh, you're still going? Sorry, yeah. So yeah, you're still there. Who's got the camera happening? Yes. So I'll just go under your phone. There we go. And it'll bring me up on the screen, and then you can connect straight away. So it's a one-on-one activity. The search, press in the search box, and then it should say scan QR code. Yeah, so you can do it individually. So, we've got 10 minutes to go. I'm going to answer your questions. Right. The first question I had was, how can I create an attractive LinkedIn profile for doing job in Freelancer? So, is that person here? I think I've talked about lots of those things, so I'll move on. Self-branding, well, you want to be optimised for your name, your expertise, and your business name. So all three of those need to be mentioned throughout your LinkedIn profile if you want to brand for that. Also, if you have a company page, you need to be updating that at least once a month. You don't have to do it 6 times a day. That's ridiculous and not achievable. Once a month, you should add something to your company page, just so that if somebody looks at it, there's something there.
But can you only have a company page if you also have a personal page?
But you can, yeah, even if you're an administrator, you still have to have it. LinkedIn for sales and marketing tools. Okay. I've had a number of people tell me that they've run advertising campaigns on LinkedIn and they spent a lot of money and they've got no results. And then I've had a few very extremely competent, well-advised people say it's been very successful. So if you are considering the sales and marketing options, you really need to know a lot more than what I can cover today. You also need to have a fairly large audience. So one of my clients is a prestigious girls' private school in Sydney, and we tried to run an ad on LinkedIn to invite people to the women's art show that they're having. It's the biggest women's art show in the whole of Australia. And we didn't have enough people who could even qualify for that campaign. So also, can I just have a show of hands? How many of you would spend more than half an hour browsing through your LinkedIn news feed per day? Not so many. And you're interested, right? But the average punter doesn't spend half an hour a day going through LinkedIn. That said, the number of active monthly users on LinkedIn in Australia has jumped from 4 million a month to 4.5 million this year. So there are more people spending more time on the news feed, but it's not a guarantee that people are going to see the ads if you're paying for them. So if you're going to pay for ads, I suggest you pay for click-throughs, not impressions, because there could be heaps of impressions, but not many click-throughs. LinkedIn advertising baffles me. Okay. I don't use it because I get plenty of work by attracting opportunities to me. So hopefully you've learned some techniques today so that you can attract it. I'm a photographer, so would love to know about marketing my headshots, etc. Okay, so you want to be found for LinkedIn headshots or LinkedIn profile photos or LinkedIn photos. There's also a link in these notes to a website called photofeeler.com where you can upload your photo and a whole bunch of people can assess your friendliness, your competence and your influence. Yeah, it's scary. It's mostly Americans too, so be warned. But yeah, so marketing headshots, you really need to think about which people you like taking photographs of. Is it people in your local area, or is it people somewhere else, you know? So what are you going to specialise? You're going to do tradie photographs. I mean, you really need to think about and reach out to those people. Sales Navigator, how to get the most out of this module. Again, not something I use, but one of the things that is very popular on Sales Navigator is being able to sort your contacts, whether they're prospects or clients and that sort of thing, and then following up. So I definitely encourage you to consider, you know, really understanding it before you take it on. What tends to happen with a lot of paid-for services is they're all very helpful until you subscribe and then the help disappears. So please make sure you ask all your questions before you sign up for these sorts of things. Tips for the reluctant social media consultant. That sounds interesting. Okay, so we all know that the real world works and we all sometimes think we don't really want to be spending our time on this. So I would suggest that you really have to be absolutely super clear on your purpose and stick to that. Allocate the time and the rest of the time go off and do what you really love doing. But you have to be consistent on social media. If you're not there on a semi-regular basis, you can lose a lot of your traction. So if you're reluctant, just stick to what works. Fashion labels, okay. Images, you're going to have to put more images throughout your profile, but don't be like one of my clients who was a try-hard and put so many images on, he really did look like a try-hard. It was all hardware, wasn't interesting. I would also suggest that for fashion labels, you probably want to look at other platforms as well, where people are looking at fashion, not just on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is highly optimised for your name and your keywords. Photography, again, have that other portfolio somewhere else. I still believe everybody should have their own website because that you own, you keep, you can adjust, it's all yours, whereas all these other things can come and go. I've purchased domain names for my children, they're going to pay me a lot of money if they ever want them back. Small business ideas for seniors. Well, first of all, I hate the word seniors, that's why I'm going with Gigsters for my next book. And one of my mentors is a senior, and he's really excited he can now call himself a Gigster instead of retired. So you must remember what your best area of expertise is and where you can add the most value and showcase that in a way that your ideal client will understand. So you may have this huge wealth of experience. One of my clients is a woman in her 70s who's been painting for the last 20 years, and she only wants to paint. So she doesn't need to mention the previous 30 years of her career because it's got nothing to do with her seniors painting career. So yeah, think about what your message is and adjust accordingly. Lead gen, as I said, I attract people to me, but I don't just use LinkedIn. I'm out at events, I do this, I do that, I do other things. So multiple ways to generate leads, but when they get to my LinkedIn profile, I like to think that I've written it in such a way. So for a while there, I had a lot of people from India messaging me, basically wanting me to pick them up at the airport, drive them to a property, give them a job, and loads of money, and all for free. So I got sort of sick of getting these inquiries, so I had to say, I charge. Guess what? All the inquiries disappeared. So you need to be determined to put your right message on. Then I put the price on, and then some other guy said to me, Sue, you could be charging 3 times the price. I took the price off. But I do mention that I charge, and if I want for free, this is the option they've got. Nothing specific, but I use LinkedIn for researching companies' contacts, so it would be great to know how to use this as a marketing tool and research tool on LinkedIn. 2 of the links in here are how to do advanced searches on Google, as well as to do some searches on LinkedIn and how to attract sales. So I'll leave that for that link. How to cut through the usual boring sales propositions through messaging and create meaningful relationships with cold contacts. There's a device called a phone, and believe it or not, you can talk to people on it. I do not understand why people do not talk to one another anymore. I don't want another terrible message, but if the phone rings, I actually usually pick it up, believe it or not. So I'd suggest, please do not use any form of rote message. I spot them, and I complain, and I tell the person off, oh, I didn't mean to, your virtual assistant obviously, no they didn't, I get all these arguments, but those people absolutely ruin LinkedIn for all of us. So please, if you can attract the opportunities to you, that's the better way to do it than pushing yourself onto people directly. You're going to get many more leads out of strategic alliances, referrals, meeting people in person, all those things are going to lead to far more work than sales messages on LinkedIn. But you could do your research, you could invite people to events, you could ask them to be speakers, you could do all those sorts of things on LinkedIn. That's going to work much better for you. Company pages, I'll go to the link. Engagement. Engagement is a really important thing because all the platforms don't want you to just shove out content and not engage with any content. So for each piece of content you put out, you should engage with 12 other pieces of content. So like, comment or share somebody else's stuff. And guess what? People like it when you interact with their content. Oh, and if they happen to be your clients, oh my goodness, they'll be so excited that you've bothered to interact with their content. So keep that in mind. 2 o'clock, I did it. Right, as I said, I'm going to send you the link to the Small Business Festival Victoria feedback survey. Now, I know it's going to take you longer than 1 minute, so I apologise for that. It's the government's gig. But you could win an iPad with an iPencil worth $800 something. So there is an incentive for you to do it. So I'll send you the link, bit.ly/SBFV, Small Business Festival Victoria, LinkedIn. So that's the link it's at. As I said before, the books are $30 each, normally $40. There's only 7 now that I've given one away. I think 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. Tonight I'm hosting a free event that I've done for 14 years called Living, Working and Networking in Melbourne. So if you know anybody who wants to find work, you're most welcome to join me at 6 o'clock. The details are on Eventbrite. You can use Living, Working and Networking in Melbourne.eventbrite.com. And I'm happy to answer questions, but I like to finish on time. So if you want to leave, you can.
Yes, Sue, I just wanted to offer some acknowledgement
Thank
firstly
you.
of you, but also I think you missed about
Yes.
yourself and your work, which is your generosity, and generosity in terms of sharing.
Thank you.
The generosity in terms of what generosity begets
Yes.
generosity, and so the connection that we have was that you listened to
I did.
one of our webinars at the Small Business Festival last year, and there's been that connection there. And so I know you prefer the phone, but you know your funny comments on the webinar thing when we were just having a bit of a crack up on the live
Yeah.
webinar and having a laugh, and then that interaction then and the generous feedback. And so I think that kind of interaction is really valuable.
Thank you. I really appreciate your feedback, and yeah, I like to be real. You know, what you see is what you get with me, and you know, some people will like it, some people won't. But I like you. You know, that's what I do, and I have enough. You know, my life is enough. I'm healthy. I have 2 beautiful children, and I went to this seminar once, and it was all about the Kids Helpline, and they assess the value of a life that they save, and it's equated to $1 million. So I'm a double millionaire because I've got 2 kids. That's a pretty cool way to live my life. Any other questions?
You're also broke.
Yes. Well, no, I'm not
No,
broke.
no, I'm joking.
But you know, I have a lovely relationship with them, and
I'm
that's.
sorry, I'm being flippant.
But I think of myself as wealthy, even not necessarily financially.
Sorry, Tina,
Yeah,
and I do
okay.
have a question around, I have run a freelance business for 13 years with
Yes.
a pretty website, and I still have one,
Yeah.
our own three businesses.
Yes.
One of them has a website.
Yes.
So in my mind, my whiz bang much more improved, especially after today,
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile will be my quasi
Yes.
website.
Absolutely.
But
And that's fine.
Your comment before is that everybody needs to have a website, but I just can't think.
Well, and if you're getting enough work and you're building and maintaining your network and you've backed up all your data, you can continue to do that.
No,
The difference is. Oh, well, please do that.
Oh, sorry.
But the difference is when you use LinkedIn, you're limited to the boxes that are on LinkedIn, right? But when you have your own website, I can put my books, my podcasts, presentations, publications, Parliament training, client services, blog, about, reviews, contact, and I can put all that information in a way that suits me. And I've got a 2% bounce rate because it's only 2 buttons to press, services or reviews. So somebody always clicks on usually services, which is exactly what I want people to do. So they find out what I offer, they look at that, they decide whether they want to do business with me, and we jump. So for me, it works. Yeah, so, and this way there's always a record and I can just keep adding to it and it forces me to keep updating.
And you suggest a different LinkedIn page for every business.
So you can have the logo next to each one.
I've got a question about writing articles on content.
Yep.
I think you talked about putting them onto LinkedIn.
Yes, as an article.
What's the value in, or is there a value in hosting it on your website and then?
Yes.
How does that work?
Yes. Okay, so Google does not like duplicate content.
Okay.
So it doesn't want you, excellent, see, you don't want to have that article written on 60 websites because Google will only index the first version. You might say that this article is such good content, I'm more likely to have more people see it and more likely to have it indexed in Google if I put it on LinkedIn. So you would put it on LinkedIn first, wait a week, and then add it to your website. Because at any
Would you
point,
call it something else?
You could if you wanted to, but you don't have to. In theory, if you want both to rank, you would make them 30% different. But I'm actually going through the process of republishing all of my content that I've done on LinkedIn onto my website. Because already yesterday I tried to update one that they de-indexed from Google, and they're not letting me update it. So I'm actually thinking of republishing it and starting again because it's a really important piece. Yeah. So it's up to you. Thanks, Ross. Yes.
So just flowing on from that, if you're resurveying or creating news to other people's communications on your profile, how do you generate them getting views into your website? Is there a way to embed your website if they click on that link? So someone publishes an independent article, you share that content.
Yeah. Look, you've got to be very careful with what you publish and what you share because it's all part of your identity, right? So now that one's connected to me, I could easily look like a megalomaniac if I went really crazy on LinkedIn because if something's popular, it'll keep going through her newsfeed because she's clicked on something I've seen before. So I don't want it to always be about me. I'm quite happy for it to be about somebody else. So I'm not always looking for a direct lead of everything I publish because it's good for me to just showcase somebody else's now thing. If it's only ever about lead gen, I'm not going to be known for what I'm known for. And quite often, from when I meet someone to when they actually do business, it can be as long as 5 years from when I first met them to when they actually decide that they want to book a gig. So yeah, always try and say to yourself, is this content that I like to share related to the message I want to share about my expertise and my listeners and what I like. So for instance, I did some work at Holden and then I connected to a whole bunch of engineers in the car industry. The next day my newsfeed changed and I had car batteries in my newsfeed. Well, I'm not interested in car batteries. So everything that you do will be a signal as to whether or not that's in alignment. So have you got an example you can think of?
So I do a lot of property work.
Yep.
So I shared a link that the RBA put out about the interest rates being
Yeah.
released. And while that got a bit of traction, so people wanted to know what the interest rate changes were. That's good for me to share that link with people who are doing property work, but they're not necessarily going to be coming back to see what I can do.
No.
Yeah, so it's good to share the content. Then how do you get them to actually say, well, this person sharing content, what do they actually do?
Well, what will happen is, if it's good content, it will keep going more viral. But the best thing about sharing content is every time you do, and you're in the news feed, your name is there, see? So Dean is a CEO Maverick, blah, blah, blah. So his headline is going to appear with every post. So if your headline is really engaging, property expert in, whatever it is, then they're going to see that, and that'll be a constant reminder. So if they keep seeing good content coming through with a good headline, they'll eventually associate, yeah, that guy has good content on that topic. Does that make sense?
So the best way to, my content I generally post on the business page, share to the personal.
Yes.
Do you have a preference for that, or
Great
what do you
question.
find works
Okay.
best?
So what happened was, it used to be that anything you shared on the company page had almost the same level of traction as the personal page. Now it's sort of completely swapped, a bit like Facebook, algorithm completely changed. And you seem to get more traction from if you share it as the CEO than if you share it from the company profile. But the reality is, if I'm interested in doing business with you, I'm probably going to check out your company profile as well. So if there's nothing there, you're going to look pretty average. So I'd still probably put most of the effort on what you share personally rather than on the company page, but I'd still make sure something is on the company page. I also spent over $250 for lunch one day, so I milk this every time I can, to hear the general manager, a woman, of Twitter here in Melbourne. And what she said is the CEO of Telstra puts out a tweet saying we're doing well, they can see the stock market price go up, and if the PR department of Telstra says we're doing well, not even a blip on the radar. So you need to think about, you really are the business. So yeah, more brands.
So generally you suggest to post the content on your own and share it back to the business?
Yeah, possibly share it or just repost slightly differently on the company page as well.
Thank you.
So do you have any insight in terms of like for people starting out in business, whatever it is, but just around sort of volume of content and like from your approach, is it more organic? So when you have something to share, you share it, or do you kind of self-regulate what you push out?
Okay, look, once a week
Yeah.
is enough. And you shouldn't be spending more than 20 minutes a week. But getting your profile, your real estate right first is important. So I do tweak my content on my profile quite frequently. So if you can do once a week and interact with 12 pieces, that's more than enough.
You're talking about copies, if you're a sole trader,
Yes.
for your business, can that go in that section?
Yes, yeah, that's what I've got. I'm a sole trader. Thanks. Good question. Okay. Have you updated your LinkedIn profile according to all my instructions? Not yet. So that is really, really important. There's no point paying for premium if you haven't optimised your LinkedIn profile first. Then if you pay for premium and you don't use it, you need to cancel it. Because it's like a gym membership. It keeps coming out whether you turn up or not. So you need to decide whether you're going to use the features of premium. So some of the features are that 90 days, the prestige value. She can afford premium, she's not broke. More searches, higher appearances in search results, ability to do research on third level connections, and so on and so forth. So you get higher up in job applications. Another thing, that even though you're business consultants and freelancers, I actually encourage you to fill out the jobs section and where it says career interests, and actually fill all that in. Because I'm from Adelaide, so I've actually said I'm interested in gigs in Melbourne and Adelaide, so it helps me come up in those other searches as well. So even though you're not looking for a full-time job, I'd actually suggest you do that. So you can see it as a contract part-time temp. It's an ongoing things. So I do all these other things first, and if that doesn't, work enough, then you consider it. All right, I'll wrap up so that the rest of you can leave gracefully, and anybody who wants to ask a question, stand in the queue, and I'll